I like to start my presentations with stories, and today I'm going to tell the story I'm calling A Tale of Two Senior Managers, Chris and Casey. You see, right now, Chris and Casey are feeling completely dejected and just shocked. Couple days ago, their manager called them and said, "Please come to the conference room for a meeting." And they were both completely taken aback when they got there and they saw a senior HR person sitting with their manager. Yes, Chris and Casey just got laid off. And now they are having to process that their hard work and their great ideas just did not get them ahead. I'm going to talk about what happened with each of them in just a moment, but first I'd like to introduce myself. Hi, I'm Gina Steele, and I'm so glad you're here. I am an executive coach who has helped more than 200 professionals become more effective leaders so that they can make a meaningful contribution. And I hope this video helps you do so. So let's start with Chris. Chris is the kindest guy. That's what everyone says, and he is. You see, Chris grew up in a small town and he always heard, work hard, be humble, don't make a big deal of yourself. Your hard work's going to speak for itself. And Chris always tried to do that because he so much cares about being likable. In fact, Chris has great ideas. In fact, he is the kind of person that can solve even the most difficult situation with a practical idea. And then he's able to bring people together and facilitate teamwork so that important things get done. Now, you would think that Chris would be the last person that someone would want to lay off. But the problem is, none of the senior people at his firm saw his contributions. They just didn't take Chris seriously. You see, when Chris walks around, he kind of slouches. He has this aw shucks personality, has a goofy walk. And even though he knows he has good ideas, he feels like he has to focus on being likable. He doesn't want to make that big deal of himself. And so when he's in a meeting, he often proposes his ideas as a question instead of a confident proposal. And so people don't even hear them. And then later in the meeting, someone else will suggest the same thing and get full credit for it. Now, Chris never tries to get credit back. He never does anything about that because when he was growing up, the worst insult was, "Who does that guy think he is?" And Chris wants to make sure that none of his colleagues say that about. The other thing about Chris is that he has no energy because he doesn't take care of himself. See, he often works late doing the work that other people couldn't get done, even when it's not his responsibility. He doesn't exercise much. And when he's at meetings, he's quiet and he doesn't have energy. So people assume Chris doesn't think he belongs at the table. Now, all of this taken together has led the senior people in Chris's company to think that Chris just isn't a serious guy, that he's not confident, that he doesn't have great ideas. And so he got laid off even though he does have good ideas and he did work extremely hard. So now let's talk about Casey. Casey is brilliant. In fact, Casey put herself through school by winning a lot of scholarships. And that was good because she's the first person in her family to get to school, and her parents did not have the money to help her. While she was in school, Casey felt so much pressure because if she lost her scholarships, she would be out, she'd be done. Now, she really does respect and love her parents, but growing up, she saw them constantly struggling with money issues and just being miserable at their jobs. And she promised herself that would never happen to her. And so she put so much pressure on herself, and people around her noticed that. Casey has stick straight posture, unlike Chris, but she's also tense because she's doing so much and has so much pressure. And people feel that and they don't feel very comfortable around her. And it makes her seem like she's not very confident. Now, as I said, Casey's very smart. In fact, Casey often comes up with the perfect solution to very complex problems, but she comes up with it so fast, a lot of people are still trying to figure out what the problem is. And when they don't immediately buy into her idea, she feels threatened. She feels and she gets frustrated. She feels like, hey, they don't see me. They're not hearing me. But the thing is, people just need some more time. She just needs to give them more time to come around to her idea. But by getting so frustrated so quickly, people think she can't really handle herself well. And because of that, she can't handle much responsibility. The other thing about Casey is that, like Chris, she doesn't get much sleep because she works so much. But in Casey's case, it makes her just kind of cranky and kind of easy to snap. And it makes people feel like she's not a team player, that she doesn't care about them. In fact, when she walks around the office, instead of smiling and saying hi and chit chatting with people and creating relationships, she just rushes around trying to get the next thing done, barely looking at anyone. And again, this makes her seem like she's not a part of the team, like she doesn't care about her colleagues, even though that is not true. So people just don't see Casey as a leader. They don't feel like she cares about them. They don't feel like she handles herself well, even though she is so smart and she gets so much done. She just puts too much pressure on herself. So now Casey and Chris may seem very different, but actually they are making the same mistake. They both lack leadership presence. Neither one has a good, strong, relaxed posture. Chris's is too weak and Casey's is too stiff. And that makes people feel like neither one is very confident or, in Casey's case, approachable. And those are both keys to being seen as a leader. The other thing is that neither Chris nor Casey has good energy. Chris is just tired and his energy just seems so low. Casey has a lot of energy, but it seems negative because she seems frustrated so much. And you have to have good energy for people to see you as a leader. And finally, both Chris and Casey are actually being inauthentic. Casey is so smart and she cares so much about the people that she works with and the company, and she wants them all to be successful. But because she puts so much pressure on herself, people can't see that. Chris, on the other hand, actually does think he has great ideas and he's very confident about his skills, but he wants to seem so likable that he is not portraying that at work. So, I have a question for you. What is your hard work being recognized? Or do you need to work on your leadership presence so that your hard work and your great ideas will be seen? If you would like to work on your leadership presence so you can step into that high impact leadership role you know you could have, please download my free guide, 5 Keys to a Strong Leadership Presence. And also subscribe to my channel where I will be posting more videos this month on tips on building a leadership presence. And remember, your posture does matter. Having a strong, relaxed posture makes people see you as confident. Also, it's important to be authentic. Let people know who you are and what your skills are. And also pay attention to your energy. Take care of yourself so you can have that great energy that allows people to see you as a leader.